everybody, welcome back to HMA Gallery. Today we are going to be finishing up our portrait realism that we started. This is going to be part 2. So if you haven't done part 1 yet, make sure you check out that video first. But this is part 2 of our portrait realism, and I hope that you'll join along and draw with me today. Okie dokie. Now we're going to continue on with the nose and the mouth. So we need to know the exact measurement of where the eyeball ends and where the nostril begins. So in order to do that, we're going to have to look at our picture. And we're going to measure from the edge of the eye down to where the top of the nose starts and how wide it comes out. Now this is a very minimalistic picture, and if you'll notice, it has a lot of shading missing. And that's because we're just focusing on the facial features and not all the shading for the actual face, just the eyes, nose, and mouth today. So I've gone ahead and I've already gotten my measurements and I've already marked my paper. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I have my little line right here, so I know how far out it comes and how far down it goes. So we are going to look at the curvature of a nostril. The nostril is going to curve up and over and down. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here. Up and over and down. Just a little curve, a little hook. And then it's going to darken up like so. All right. So there is the first nostril. Then we're going to have a line that comes down a little bit and comes up and back over, right about here. So we have our nostril and our tip of our nose, and then it comes back up and over. So here's the line that we have now for the shape of our nose. A very simple, a very basic shape. Okay, erase out some of the extra that we don't need. And then we're gonna just gently rub it to get a little bit of a shading. And then we're gonna come down here and add a little more shading very lightly onto the top of the nose. And then some underneath the nose. One's gonna come down like so. Widen up as it comes to the top of the top of the tip of the nose, and then there's going to be another one right here coming down right about there. This is just very general, very basic, nothing too detailed, because I want you guys just to kind of get a feel for the general proportions of the face and the facial features. So here's our nose. Then I'm going to come back through here and pull out a little bit more of the graphite, like that. Which it took away a little too much of my shading, so I'll just add a little bit more and rub it with my finger, like that. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to back out. So there we have our nose. Very basic. Very, very basic, nothing fancy. Add a little more shading down here. And now we need to measure for our mouth. So I'm going to come down like this. Put a dot, that's where the deep crevice of the lips is going to come. And then how far out does the mouth go from the edge of the paper? It's going to come right about to there. So now I'm going to take and I'm going to mark that as well. Mouth from the divot down to the bottom is going to be right about there. So I'm going to come over here and make my last marking, like so. There's the measurements for our face. So we can go ahead and work on our mouth. Our mouth is going to start, the center of the mouth is always the center of the nose. Everything on a face is split perfectly even. So we're gonna start right here, and we're gonna have our first divot right here for our mouth. We're gonna go ahead and add the divot. And now we're gonna have the lips coming up and over. And then the lips coming up and over. Curving down just a hair. And then we're gonna have this piece coming over straight, and then it's gonna arch up just a hair, right about here, right about where that piece is for the lip. And it's gonna come back down almost to a point, and then come back up. So we have a little bit of a dip right here. And this is gonna come back over. So there is our first lip, our top lip. All right. And then we're gonna have a little bit of a gap because this woman has her mouth open. So we're gonna have a gap here, and then it's gonna come almost straight across and then end off of our paper, like so. And then continue the other lip down here. She has a very large bottom lip. Like that. Okay. Erase out some of the lines that we don't need anymore. Now, we don't really need to worry about too much detail right this second. What I want to start out with is making sure we're getting the basic outlines of everything. So for the teeth, once again, that line for the teeth is going to start right there, coming down and coming straight across and coming back up. Down, straight across, back up. Okay. We have one here going up and over. You can't really see. Then we have some teeth down here. Okay. So there's our lines for our teeth. Okay. Looks kind of silly right now compared to our eyeball and our nose, but we're gonna get there. Hang in there. So now we're gonna come back over with this lip, and on the top lip, we're gonna give it a nice light shade. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use my F pencil. Zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Mouths can be difficult sometimes, so don't be discouraged if you struggle with the mouth. Gonna add some darker shading coming up off of the teeth. Like that. Have a piece coming up and over like that. Okay, and blend, blend, blend. Everything we do is going to have to be blended quite well. We're going to have a line coming up like that for part of the lip. And continue to smooth out the shading. At the bottom here, I'm going to put some lines. Lines coming up off of the bottom of the lip. Like this, all the way across. Okay? And then gently shade, whoops, with your finger. Okay? A little bit of shading coming off the edge of the mouth there, up at the top. Some more lines coming off. And we're going to gently shade in. Just like that. All right. So now what we're going to do is continue by adding some shading up here on the tops of the teeth. You really want to be careful because you want the teeth to look white. You don't want them to look dingy, but you do want to give the illusion of there being a shadow on the teeth. So we definitely need to be super careful. You can darken up the background area behind the teeth. I recommend using a B pencil for this. So I'm going to grab my B pencil and make this much darker. Now, one thing that you don't want to darken up is the lines in the teeth. I know it's going to be tempting to do that, but trust me, it's not going to look right. It's going to make it look like she has buck teeth if you do that. So don't do that. Right now, we're just darkening up the background. And then we're going to come through and darken up this bottom lip here. Okay. Now I'm going to go through with my finger, gently shade, not around the middle of the teeth, around the bottom of the teeth, and going down into my lip. Okay? This is going to give you contrast. It's very important to have contrast. These lights and these darks need to be in here. They're both important, and every shade in between, because if you don't have all of these shades, it's not going to look right when you get done. And you're going to look at your drawing and say, why doesn't it quite look like I want it to? Or why is it not quite as realistic as I want it to? And a big part of it is probably if you're not shading enough. So don't forget to add plenty of shading to this, but not too much shading. The key is shading needs to be there, but only where it belongs. So I'm going to come through here on my lip now. This lip, I believe, is too fat as it tapers down. So I'm going to pull some of this out, just like that. Just use my eraser, pull some of it out as it tapers down. I also want to lose that dark line. If you have dark lines, it's going to be cartoony. I can tell you right now. The key to realism is shading, not outlining things. There's a place for outlining, kind of like in the eye, where we have the pupil and the outline of the top eyelid, and that's appropriate. But there are many places where you do not want to have a heavy dark line. The lips is one of those. You want to let it just kind of taper off on its own, just like that. Okay. Right there. Now I'm going to go back through the bottom here, and I'm going to shade again down here at the bottom because this needs more darker shading. I'm going to come through with more lines. Some of these lines need to go up higher into the lip. Not all of them, but some of them do. And once again, shade it with your finger. Add in some more shading here. Okay. through with my eraser, like that. All right. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. So here we are so far with this lip. And we want to gently shade the top lip again. Have it coming up off of the edge of the lip. Lots of detail is important with these. Okay. Take your time. Okay. Through here, I'm going to add a little more shading like this. And down here, a little more as well. Okay. Here a little more, here a little more. And then blend it with my finger. And we're getting there. A few more of these lines coming up off the bottom. Like this. Shade it with my finger. All right, I'm gonna go through, erase out just a tiny bit of that shading so that we have white teeth. Not too much. Okay, and then down here, darken it up even more, like that. Just a little bit though. And then we're gonna come over on the side of the mouth and we're gonna add a little bit of curve coming out. Like that. All right. There we go. So now when you zoom out, you'll be able to see that it's starting to really come together nicely. Now, the more you work on this, the more detail there will be. For today's purposes, I'm not going to overdo it because we could be here for hours, and I just want you to get the gist of how to do a realistic face. So I think I'm happy with that, and now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to add a little bit of shading for the chin, have it arching just a little bit, like so. Use my finger, rub it a little bit, give it a little bit of blend. Then we're gonna have to measure where our lines go for our face. So this is very important. So here's our face. We're gonna have the chin start somewhere over here. The edge of the chin is gonna come out over here. Right here. So I have my line for where it's going to start. I'm going to go ahead and put in a line there and add in my last dot. And I'm going to lightly draw this coming over and around. Everything to be nice and smooth. We're almost there. Almost there. And use our finger, let it gently blend. And there we have it. Our realistic eye, nose, and mouth, and our chin, our jawline. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys were able to follow along with me. If there's any point in this video that you need to slow down or even pause it and focus more attention on one particular part, please feel free to do that. Also, don't forget to leave me comments or any suggestions that you might have for future videos that I could do for you as a tutorial. Hope you have an awesome day. Hope you guys enjoyed following along. Thanks again. Take care. God bless.